Should a guy who is a 5 marry a girl who is a 3? Okay. We're going to play Inception again at the end of this, children. Okay. To satisfy her hypergamous mating. Or is assortive mating. Okay. You want to talk about assortive mating? I'm glad you brought this up. All right. So, what is the difference between hypergamy and assortive mating? Okay. Assortive mating actually worked back before we had. Here, this is a little bit better. Just so happens I had this on tap today. Okay. Sexual freedom, right? Case 1, without socially enforced long-term monogamous, somebody misspelled that, bonds between men and women, right? Okay. This looks like the classic hypergamous situation that you would see math drop, right? Yeah. Which is basically a variation on stuff that I did way back in the day, but that's okay. So you'd have females 1s and 2s who wouldn't reproduce, and then you all from 1 to 6s. Now remember, this is sexual market value. That market value is dependent on a lot of different things. So don't think, oh, I'm a 6, I'm never going to reproduce. No, you probably will if you have value added, right? So that's the left side of this graph. I'm sorry, I'm looking for another one that I had here on tap, but I don't have it. This will do though. Then the other one is regulated sexuality. Now this is the classic assortive mating situation. Now what happens here is, like, modern day assortive mating proponents think that this is in some way innate. It is not innate. The left side is innate. The right side is regulated by society, not naturally what would occur if there is sexual freedom. So let's continue. Regulated sexuality, strict enforcement of lifelong monogamous bonds between men and women, perfect dad society, right? Okay, so 1s with 1s, 2s with 2s, 3s with 3s. This is why I lock horns with idiots like Alex from Date Psych, because they want to say this is what assortive mating is really about. No, it's not. This is regulated sexual marketplace. That's what this is. And prior to the sexual revolution, you might have had a case. Well, it looks like a 6 is going to get with a 6, and we're all going to be happy because we're all 6s, and we're not going to fantasize about fucking a 7. We're not going to fantasize about fucking Aquaman, who was a Jason Momoa, who was a 10, right? No. We're in a regulated society, which of course is all founded on one thing that has confounded pretty much everything since the Enlightenment period era, which is the blank slate and social constructionism. Okay. So everything on the regulated side of the regulated sexuality is dependent on sociosexuality, or it's dependent on social constructionism, which we know is bullshit right now. How do we know that? Because we have the 4 laws of behavioral genetics, okay, which we'll return back to here in just a moment. Now, if we look on the right or the left side of this is classic hypergamy. So classic hypergamy is an unregulated sexual freedom, which it was pretty much the case since 1965. So if you look at the divorce rate overlaid on top of the use and the rise in popularity of hormonal birth control, you will see, if I know correlation is not causation, but it's a hell of a correlation. They look almost identical. So the more women started using hormonal birth control, the more they wanted to ditch their husbands. Why? Because they were all about regulated sexualities on the regulated side. So when we talk about assortive mating, like a lot of people want to say, well, usually 8s get with 8s and 7s get with 7s and 6s get with 6s. And this is just the way it is because, that's just that might have worked when we lived in hunter-gatherer tribes. It might have worked even through, post-agrarian societies, right? 6 is 6, 7 is 7s, right? But the problem is one technological advancement that killed marriage also killed the regulated sexuality market as well. So when people want to say, oh, assortive mating this, assortive mating this, well, okay, let's also look at, are we talking about prior or post mating? So are 6s getting with 6s? Are they marrying them, or are they actually getting with them because of some sort of innate biological drive to get with somebody to achieve some sort of balance or some sort of parity? Well, we know this isn't true because all we have to do is look at the rise in divorces right after hormonal birth control kicked in, and we pretty much went and shifted over to a gynocentric social order. In a gynocentric social order, this is what you're going to see on the sexual freedom side of things. So if you're going to go and try to make a case for assortative mating prior to the sexual revolution, you might be able to convince me, but it's still based on social constructionism and the blank slate. If you go and you look at the innate evolved sexual strategies and mating strategies of women and men, really, but in this case, we're just going to focus on women, you can't help but see that it is based on what I call, anyways, classic hypergamy. That's the difference between those two. So when we're talking about assortative mating, when I say assortative mating is dead, and it's been dead, we've had this conversation. I've been having this conversation since my So Suave days, since 2006 when I came up with the word matrix. But these are the conversations that we've already had, and so just to see us rehashing shit like assortative mating, it's not about who's marrying who, because the marriage rates are bullshit. The marriage rates are lower than they've ever been. So if you want to say, well, it's assortative mating, sixes get with sixes, eights will get with eights, okay, but they're not getting with each other with the same kind of frequency as when we came up with the idea of assortative mating. Assortative mating's been around forever, a long time. I want to say it's probably a product of the 60s psychology. Everybody gets with and not even psychology, it's sociology is what it is. So when you're going to tell me that, sixes marry sixes, first of all, the sixes are not marrying sixes in the same rate that they were. Like, it's the lowest marriage rate at least in Western society, in weird societies, right? Western, industrialized, educated, democratic, rich societies, right? Weird. I probably messed that up. But anyways, those societies, you might have had a case in the 20th century. In the 21st century, absolutely, all bets are off. Really, after 1965, all bets are off. So what replaced it? The innate order that would have happened had there not been a dependency on men, like women depended on men, men depended on women, right? That's how it was, because it was regulated. It's no longer regulated. So what is the natural default? Hypergamy. Simple as that. I don't like, it's a curb this fucking high too, man. Like, why can you not get this through your fucking head? You know why? Because people want fucking hope. That's why. I talked about this. I'm like, God damn it. Now you're going to get me all worked up on this one thing. And we talked about this. People want to be hopeful about something. One of the reasons why I think there's this kind of this anti-red pill push is because people go, well, it's not as bad as you think it is. And I've never said it is. I just said you can use this for your own fucking benefit. You can use the red pill education. You can use the red pill knowledge and awareness and everything else to, like I said, heat your home and cook your food, or you can set yourself on fire or set your neighbor on fire. And what happens is anti-red pill fuckwits think that it's all about setting your neighbor on fire and setting your house on fire rather than actually using it for your own fucking benefit. That's why. And that's why they don't want to hear that Rollo Tomassi has a 28-year marriage that's been successful for a very long time and has a lot to do with the fact that I'm red pill aware and I understand my own nature as a man and my wife's nature as a woman. And you know what? It fucking works. It works like it dovetails perfectly together. And I can make it work. And you know who hates that? People like fucking Alex from Date Psych, for all these fucking gatekeepers of evolutionary psychology. They hate that. You know who else hates that? Tradcons hate that. That's why I don't get the call from Matt Walsh. You know who else hates that? Liberals like fucking Destiny. They hate that too. I'm hated by everybody. It's me against the fucking world, man. I tell you right now, me against the world, baby. But I will tell you, the proof is in the fucking pudding. So like at 28 years, all I have to do is put 28 years ago today, I got married to the love of my life. People lose their fucking minds. Oh my, everybody either, it's very super congratulatory, which I'm appreciative of. Okay. I'm not like trying to fish for compliments or anything like that. It's great. The thing is, you know who's not going to recognize that? Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Brett Cooper, all the rest of these people who want to be anti-red pill, like tradcons, they're never going to recognize that. You know who's not going to recognize that also? It's also the evolutionary psychology gatekeepers. They're not going to recognize that either. They're never going to throw me a fucking bone, right? They're never. It's you know who else is not going to recognize that? Fucking dyed in the wool, wokesy liberals. They're never going to they just can't give credit where it's due.